Welcome back, everyone. Today's project is on polishing the glass on the Camaro. And I'm actually using a machine to do it this time rather than doing it by hand, which you've seen my videos on that. So let me pan over to the Camaro for a second, just to kind of give an idea of what I was doing here, because I've actually already done the front glass, the side glass, and the rear glass. I'm about to do the T-top here in a minute. Now, when you're doing a glass polish, always start on your passenger side first. Make this as your test spot, because if you screw up, you don't want to impair the visibility of the driver. So kind of just remember, start here and go from there. Now this car had Flyby Forte version 2 on here, which held up really well, and I'm still going because this car sits in the garage all the time, and whatever you put on it, it's going to last a long time. I just want to try a different, I just wanted to kind of clean up the glass a little bit, recoat it. Not a big deal. It's been I don't even know when I put Flyby Forte version 2 on here. It's been on there for quite some time. I'll just clean up the glass. The last time I polished the car, on the side glass here, I had used UK 3.0, and also on the rear glass has UK 3.0, and the glass T-tops have UK 3.0 top with TiO2. That's been on there for about a year and a half. Roughly, again, it's the same time frame as it's been on the paint. So we'll get to that in a second here in terms of coatings. Okay, so let me put it this way. So if you're going to be using, so if you're doing a paint correction for a customer, you can actually just use the products you're using for the paint on the glass. Now just keep in mind that this is just going to do topical decontamination, not so much what's the term, the abrasives in it are not hard enough to remove wiper scratches. That's what I'm trying to get to. But these will remove like water spots, clean up the glass. That's what it's going to do. So you can actually just use these. So you can actually, so if you're doing a one-step paint enhancement, which is basically a polishing step, one-step polish, you can actually just use the polish, go around, finish up your panel on the paint before you swap out pads, hit the glass, and you're good to go. Again, it's just going to clean up the glass, not in terms of removing wiper scratches. So now let's get into dedicated glass polishes here. Again, we have multiple versions here. You have the old staple, which is Carpro Ceriglass, which has cerium oxide. Now this is actually going to remove wiper blade scratches, but it's going to take a lot of work. And in terms of using it on pads, just get the Carpro glass pads. That's what they're designed for. They're really thin. They're rayon pads. These are meant to be used with that product. Yes, I know Griot's and Lake Country make some, but I don't know how many posts I've read saying I use Ceriglass with a glass polishing pad or a glass pad, and now have swirls in my glass. Well, it turns out they were not using the Carpro pad with the Ceriglass polish. They were using one of either the Griot's or the Lake Country. Again, those are, might have issues. Just stick with this as a system. It'll work. I will link Mike Phillips' video on how to remove wiper scratches from your paint. Again, it's not going to be an easy task. So if you don't need to remove wiper scratches, don't even bother with the glass pads. You can actually just use it on a microfiber cutting pad, or just like this maroon buff and shine pad here, which will remove, again, water spots and etching, that type of thing. And then we have a product like McKee's 37, which if you see me use by hand, this I'm going to be using it by machine. And again, this is just an abrasive polish with some chemical cleaners in here, and like it says right here, removes water spots and etching, restores clarity and shine. This is going to do a good job if you're just looking to clean up your glass from water spots and etching, or just prep it for a glass coating. If you want to just use, if you want to just use this it's a great product. So again, I'm going to put this aside here. You can use it with a microfiber cutting pad, or a foam pad, or a cutting pad, polishing pad. This is a heavy polishing pad, and so that's what I'm going to be using it on. And so I'm going to just use that right now on the T-top, just to give you an idea of the way I've used it. So I've already used this Meguiar's 3-inch pad. This is part of their what's that? I forget that tool that you use. But again, it's a 3-inch pad from them, which I have for a glass polishing pad. Again, you want to tape off trim, because you can see I got splatter from doing the glass, and you don't want to get this on your trim because it can stain trim. So just tape it off, and we'll go from there. So actually, let me wipe that off for a second before we get started. Okay. Ceraglass will stain trim. Just know that going in. Let me just tape this down a little bit because it's got this channel here that's a little funky on the piece here. This is actually just Carpro tape, which I had on hand because the other tape that I had was not sticking very well. This is just Carpro tape. Okay, so when you set up the McKee's glass polish, you're not going to do your typical, pea-sized drops. You want to use, as Nick says, an ample amount of product, and because you want to get this in the path. Let me put this down for a second. So I'm just going to spread it into the glass here. And so we're just going to do half of this for now, and then we'll do the other half next. So I'm using the Flex PXE 80. You can use a corded polisher if that's all you have. Right now I'm just using this because it's nice not having a cord. So I'm just going to turn this on. I'm just going to run it on speed 3, and I'll show you the way I do it. Nick says to do about 8 section passes. You're good if you do between 6 and 8, possibly even 5. Okay, so that was 8 section passes. You don't really need to do that many, but you can see that the polish, let me just wipe this pad up for a second. You can see that the polish broke down enough I can just wipe it off. So before I do wipe it completely off, I'm just going to put a little bit more product on here and do the other side. And I'll show you, you're probably asking how do you get into these edges. I will show you that in a second. Let me just kind of zip over this piece here as well. Okay, so that was 8 section passes. Again, like I said, your pad's going to load up, so just have yourself either a brush or your compressor turned on. Put that down. Now I actually have the Nano to get into the smaller areas. If you don't have a Nano or anything like that, you get in here, just take the pad off and use your fingers. I don't feel like working that hard, so I'll just put product on to this guy, working into the pad. Now these pads I'm using here are some Lake Country Force pads. This is the polishing pad. Because I didn't like them, they got downgraded to glass pads. So I'm going to put this on 3. You know, I've been having problems with my hybrid, this switch here. Sometimes it doesn't work very well. I think I'm going to have to send it in to get this thing fixed, see? So it doesn't work all the time. Okay, so that's all there is to it. I'm gonna have to get this. Yeah, you know, I bought my Rupas when it first came out, so I'm gonna have to send it in and see if they can fix this. I think it's the contact switch in here is not working very well, so it's gonna have to go in. Okay, so now I'm gonna wipe up the product residue here. And so one thing I will mention is when you're polishing glass, I think the best time to do it is right before you're gonna wash the car. That way you can just get any dust and residue off, and then you can come back and coat the glass. So I have some N914. I'll just spritz it on here. Take a towel. These towels are repurposed CarPro two-face light towels that I used for coatings at one point. No, it's not going to scratch your glass. Okay, so you can see that the water stain on the surface. You're going to come back with a secondary towel. You're going to just wipe the residue off, because if you let it dry, you're going to get haze on here from the product, and you're going to have to just wipe it. So let me just remove the tape, because I am done with this side. So I taped the T-top here. Get this tape. So I taped it off here because there's a piece of rubber trim in here, and I didn't want to scratch this piece here. Right, so let me just go over the glass here. Now at this point the glass looks pretty shiny. Like here I have some old, I don't know how long that thing's been on here, some old etchings from something. I would have to do this by hand, and even then I'm not guaranteed to remove them because they've been on there for quite some time, and I have not been able to remove them from the T-top. So that's it. Once that's done, you know, you can either take your car to get it, to wash it, bring it back in, dry it completely off, and then put your coating of choice. If you want to stay with the McKee's coating, they have their spray coating, which is pretty decent. It'll hold up pretty well. If you want to look for something that's a little bit more durable, you know, you have products like the P&S Inspiration View and the Art to Shine graphene window coating. You know, just pick one right now. This is probably my current favorite one. Even I prefer it even over the Flyby Forte. This is actually another runner-up that's pretty well, and you can see that the graphene material in there kind of separates and it stays a clear liquid. So that's what you would do. I just want to go ahead and just show you that. Actually, let me just prep this, because I'm not going to wash the car because I don't have a lot of dust. I'll just come back with a panel wipe. So let me just go ahead and finish this. And I'll show you. I'll come back with a panel wipe, and then I'll show you the glass coating part of it. Like I said, I'm not going to go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my panel wipe and pick up any remaining dust from the glass, coat it, let it sit in here for about another week, wash the car because I haven't washed it since I put the Geon Q2 wax on there. So let me just go around the other side of the glass, and then I'll get to the coating portion. I'll show you that stuff next. And for this one, I'm going to be using the P&S View Inspiration coating. So let me just go ahead and do this. This is probably going to be a longer video, just to get you guys an idea of how you would prep, polish, and protect your glass. I skipped the clean step because this car doesn't sit outside, so there was nothing on here. So let me just go ahead and knock the other side out, and then I'll show you the glass coating part of it. Again, this will be a longer video just so I can give you a how-to for, you know, prep, polish, and protecting your glass. So now that I'm done polishing the glass, the next thing you want to do is you want to use a surface prep or a panel wipe or a panel prep. They're called multiple thing, IPA. If you want to use IPA, by all means go for it. I just have M122 because I don't have to worry about any, you know, how strong I have to make my IPA mixture, all that business. Now, I wear gloves when I use a panel wipe, and the reason for that is because I don't want the oils from my hands to transfer onto the towel as I'm wiping down the surface. And you're probably thinking that's a little crazy, but again, that's what I do. And just spray the glass. You let that sit for a little bit. Come back with your towel and wipe it in. I usually just do a crosshatch pattern just for the heck of it, and then it'll start to flash off the surface. So right at this point I can actually see that the surface prep is just laying flat. It's not being repelled off the surface. That's because the coating that I originally had on here is officially gone, and so now the coating, the coating's not on there to repel it. And I'll just come back with a secondary towel, wipe off the residue from the surface prep. And now my towel drags on the glass, telling me that there's nothing on here anymore. And so again, I just repeat that. Again, I use multiple towels. I don't know what that is here. Let me get that on. I use multiple towels during the panel prep surface. Because I want to have clean sides at all times. So it's not that difficult. Again, we'll let that flash off a little bit. Remember the edges, I couldn't get this clean. Well, it took a little bit of brute force with the microfiber towel and the polish, and I was able to get that off. And again, these are CarPro light towels, the two-face light towels, repurposed because I used them for coatings at one point. But they were, I had soaked them in rags to riches right after I was done wiping off the whatever I have coated. So again, that's the panel wipe process. Just if you don't want to deal with the dilutions of trying to figure out how strong of IPA do I need to use, just get yourself a surface prep. You can find this Meguiar's one really cheap online. Everybody has sales these days. You can get them for like 25% off and all that. So again, pick one that you like, use it, and you'll have good results. Alright, stay tuned for the next part, which is going to be the coating part of it. Alright, so now after the surface prep part is the application of the coating. Now you can use any coating of your choice. Right now I'm really enjoying the P&S Inspiration View Glass Coating number 1. It's ease of use and its overall performance. P&S is claiming that their Inspiration View is up to 6 months, but if you don't use your wiper blades that much, it'll last you even longer than that. The next one would be the Art to Shine Nano Graphene Window Coating, or whatever they call this thing. This is another one that's relatively easy to apply. This is still easier. This one will kind of do the sweating effect when it's ready, and then of course if you want a real easy type of glass product on there, you always have a glass sealant like Rain-X. Meguiar's has one, things of that nature. McKee's also has a spray coating on there that you spray and apply it, and it actually is pretty good. You can use that if you want to stay in the McKee's family. Now when it comes to applicators, you got the typical block and suede, works just fine. You got like an auto fiber type applicator, which has the liner, which will not absorb a lot of product. So and then you have like these G-Technic ones, which I'm going to use right now because I want to get rid of them, and I don't really find myself using these. So just let me close this door. Let me pop my towels, I guess, under my arm. Actually, let me use the stool. I don't like leaving towels on glass because if you're coating, you have the potential to leave high spots if I was to leave it up here. So let me just switch hands here because I'm going to go lefty on you. Okay, so just go ahead and put a few drops. And I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a puddle line here. And what that's going to allow me to do is grab fresh product anytime I pass over it. Okay, so I do circles to apply the coating. Number one, because I think it gets better coverage. If you want to do the crosshatch stuff, by all means, go for it. This is just the method that works for me. Then I'll just come back with the applicator and work the edges. Now what you'll notice with this coating is, I can see it from here, hopefully you guys can see it too, it rainbows. That rainbow is basically telling me it's ready to be leveled. I'm going to let it sit for just a few more seconds as the bands open up a little bit more before I completely level it out. And so while that's doing that, I'm going to put this down here. Not going to scratch or anything. I'm just going to set it aside. Get my towels here. Again, these are repurposed towels that I've used for coatings. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this towel, the first towel, and I'm going to level out the product. Again, you're not removing it at this point. You're leveling it out. You're essentially removing the carrier solvents. Okay, then you come back with your secondary towel, and now you're gonna wipe off to where everything is removed. Now the garage lights in here are really good right now, so I don't really need a light to inspect it. But I'll take my towel, flip it over to a cleaner side, and I'll actually wipe larger than where I applied it to avoid high spots. And if you have high spots, it's really easy. Just go ahead and go over it with a polish and reapply the coating. It's just kind of a hassle and an annoyance. Yeah, but you can actually tell that it's slick, and you're all set. And I'll show you another glass surface here, which is the T-top. So again, just put a few drops on here. I'm going to draw a puddle line here, and I think you can actually see how thick this coating goes on. I can actually leave a little bit more because I went kind of thin there. And there goes the noisy neighbors. You can go up and down the street all day. Okay, so let that sit. And while that's flashing, I'm going to put a coating in my pocket. While that's flashing, one thing is, if you have a piece of glass that has its frameless, just pop open the door so you can get the edges. Also, if a car does have a frame, lower the window down a little bit, and you can coat up to here. If not, every time the person rolls the window, you're going to have a little edge where it's not coated. And then the other thing is, when you're polishing glass here, do not use a machine, do not use a microfiber pad. That'll generate too much heat, and you'll burn right through the glass coating on here, and you'll end up having to buy a new piece of glass to replace it. Okay, so let's go over with this secondary towel. And the lights in the garage are good, so I can actually see any leftover product. But if you weren't comfortable, just carry around your light. You can actually check it out to make sure you level it completely down. But I can actually just look at the lighting in the garage and see that there's no more glass coating left on the surface. So it's that simple to use this coating. Like I said, I recommend this coating if you're looking for a dedicated glass coating. It'll last you quite a bit of time. I actually have a friend who's a professional detailer. He's used this on his customers' cars, and they've been happy with it. They've been reporting positive feedback. He told me that the other day, so I'm glad he's enjoying it. P&S has a winner with this product here. One thing I will mention is, with this particular glass coating, 2 layers on the glass with that C-wiper abrasion. So if you have a hatchback or some sort of SUV with a wiper blade on the back, two layers on there. Rest of the glass, 1 layer is perfectly fine. Let me just go ahead and put this down. So this video here was intended to teach a newcomer how to polish, panel wipe, and coat their glass. Hopefully this helps, and again, we'll stay tuned for the next one, and we'll see how this holds up over time. Again, this car spends a lot of time in the garage. This glass coating should technically last for years on here. And again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for updates on the Camaro and the Grand Prix, and on the Impala.